"Fix this, I'll give you $100 million, the admiral mocked, slamming the blueprint onto the steel table in the middle of the shipyard. The echo rang through the hangar like a challenge, sharp and heavy. Engineers, officers, and workers exchanged nervous glances, their faces tight with frustration. They'd been trying to fix the Navy's newest experimental engine for months, the very heart of the nation's most advanced destroyer, and no one could figure out what was wrong. It was a test of pride, of genius, and of patience. But in the far corner, leaning against a mop handle with grease-stained hands, stood a man nobody noticed, a janitor named Ethan Cole. He was quiet, polite, and invisible to the men in uniforms. Every day he swept their mess, cleaned their coffee cups, and listened to the conversations they thought he was too simple to understand. Yet, as he watched the admiral throw another tantrum over a problem no one could fix, Ethan's daughter tugged his sleeve. "Daddy," whispered Lila, a small, curious 8-year-old with bright hazel eyes and her mother's smile. "They wired the coupler wrong." Ethan blinked. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" She pointed a tiny finger at the holographic projection on the admiral's screen. "That loop isn't closed. The charge will keep running in circles and never connect. You always told me electricity needs a way home." Ethan's heart skipped. He stared at the diagram, her words echoing in his head. Electricity needs a way home. He looked closer, and his breath caught. She was right. Somehow, his daughter had spotted a microscopic misalignment that the Navy's top engineers had missed. Before he could think, the admiral barked, "What are you looking at, janitor? Get back to work." Ethan hesitated, torn between fear and something deep inside him, pride. He gently pushed Lila behind him and said, "Sir, I think I see the issue." The admiral turned, amusement flashing in his cold blue eyes. "You, the janitor." He laughed, and the officers joined in. "All right, Mr. Mop, tell us what the mighty Navy engineers failed to see." Ethan approached slowly, heart pounding. He pointed at the projection, hands trembling slightly. "Here, the magnetic coupler's feedback circuit isn't grounded properly. It's looping the current instead of completing the charge. That's why it's overheating." The admiral smirked, leaning back. "You think you can fix what a billion-dollar team couldn't?" Ethan swallowed. "No, sir. But she can." Every eye turned toward Lila, standing there in her little pink hoodie, clutching a stuffed dolphin. The room fell silent. The admiral's smirk faded into disbelief. "Is this a joke?" Ethan knelt beside his daughter. "Show them, honey." With quiet confidence, Lila walked to the control panel, her small fingers moving over the holographic keys. She rotated the engine model, rewired a sequence with a few taps, and explained in the simple language of a child how the current needed to flow, like a heartbeat, in and out, not round and round. The admiral's engineers watched in stunned silence. When she hit run, the system hummed. The red warning lights flickered to green. The core temperature stabilized. The engine, after months of failure, roared to life. For a full 10 seconds, no one moved. Then the admiral's face turned from shock to awe. What did she just do?" Ethan smiled through tears. "She fixed it." The admiral stepped forward, speechless. He glanced at the blueprint, then back at the little girl who just solved what they called the impossible fault. Finally, he laughed, not mockingly this time, but in disbelief. "Well, I'll be damned. A janitor's daughter just saved the U.S. Navy's biggest project." He looked at Ethan, eyes softening. "I said I'd pay $100 million to whoever fixed it. Guess I owe you." Ethan shook his head. "We don't need your money, sir. Just, maybe a fair chance." The admiral's laughter faded into something more thoughtful. He looked at Ethan for a long time, then said, "You just earned more than money, son. You earned respect." Days later, the story spread across the base like wildfire, the janitor and his little girl who outsmarted the Navy's brightest minds. Journalists came. Scientists wanted to meet her. Offers poured in, scholarships, sponsorships, even a private meeting with the president. But when they asked Lila what she wanted, she only said, "I just wanted to help Daddy go home early." That simple, innocent answer broke the internet. The video of her fixing the engine and hugging her father afterward went viral worldwide. People didn't just see a genius child, they saw love, humility, and the reminder that brilliance doesn't always wear a uniform. A few weeks later, Ethan stood in the same shipyard, no longer holding a mop. The admiral had offered him a full-time engineering position, and Lila had been accepted into a top science program for gifted kids. One evening, as the sun set behind the harbor, Ethan lifted his daughter into his arms and said, "You changed our lives, sweetheart." Lila giggled, brushing his cheek. "No, Daddy. You changed mine first, when you never gave up." That night, as the ship lights shimmered across the ocean, Ethan realized something powerful. You don't need medals, ranks, or money to make a difference. Sometimes, all it takes is faith, in yourself, and in the people you love most. So to everyone watching this, remember this story when you feel invisible. Greatness doesn't come from where you stand, it comes from what's inside your heart. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because somewhere out there, another little Lila might just be waiting for a chance to shine.